everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we are taking a look at a pro-level 1v1 match that was played between one of the number one, in fact, as of right now, I'm looking at the leaderboards here, the number one dual player in the current category. We have, spawning as our blue team leader here, a commander that goes by the name of Autopilot, winning the Golden Crown, by the way, of course, for winning, I believe that was the Omega League that you win the crown for, as well as the Goblin. So, not just one, but a multiple-time tournament winner right here. It's going to be Autopilot, TM Autopilot to be precise, going to be playing as the blue Cortex commander, spawning right up in front of us on our match today. Now this is a map that, or a match rather, that was played on a map called Ortego, and we've seen it a lot in these 1v1 tournaments, and I'm excited to see what strategies this, well, blue hero and our red commander can go for. Our red commander spawning on the other side here, a commander, of course it goes by the name of Lavish, from the Stud clan, going to be playing as a red Armada commander, showing us what he's got. Trying to get a good shot here. He's moving around a whole bunch. There we go. Also has the Goblin on top of the head, which is hilarious to see after winning the, I believe that was a Fight Night tournament prize that you won the Goblin hat for, and wearing that very proudly here as the Armada commander, building a laboratory and sending a Resbot out on the field. Ortego, it's a map that we've seen a whole bunch of recently. It's got all these big forests right here with thousands and thousands of energy to reclaim from them. It's rare that we ever see this map reclaimed out. Typically, it's pretty common for commanders to just send Resbots out to try and eat as much of the metal and energy of the map as possible. And as you can see, there are these giant pockets of resources here. 850 metal in these rocks here, and there is another set of rocks over here that the red commander is ignoring, intentionally trying to effectively race the blue commander across the map in order to get these resources here. So very, very nicely done. Lovish going for a little bit more of an aggressive, well, it's a greedy strategy, right? But it is very aggressive, sending that robot across, trying to get those resources because the, well, defense distance, defender's advantage for Autopilot is immense. So the distance is small, the advantage is immense. There we go. Clear that up really quickly before there's any confusion. Autopilot sending out some constructors here to rebuild, or rather build these metal extractors, which are also quite valuable. 2.5 metal per metal extractor is definitely quite worth a lot. That's going to scale pretty quickly here. Once you have, yeah, I want to say once you have all three of these up and running, you're pretty much set to start tank production. You kind of only need about, I want to say about 20 metal per second or so in order to build up those tanks really effectively, start getting medium tanks on the field and kind of play with those en masse, go for a big steamroll push through the midsection, which is a strategy that we've seen quite often on this map, but more prevalent than that, probably more common, is of course going for T2 Armada vehicles. So not going to be an option for the blue commander, of course, as a core commander, but certainly something that maybe, yeah, our red hero here, Lovish, is going to be thinking about going for. Resbot eating up the metal and will successfully extract all the resource here from the blue side of the field, which is cool to see. Yeah, we have the Resbot headed over here towards these rocks. I think Autopilot is looking through the fog of war here and seeing those rocks disappear, and now has got to be so unhappy with the fact that all of that 850 metal is completely gone. In fact, if we switch here to the, oh, I've lost my little button. Okay, well, we can't switch to the player view, but you can see through the fog of war which of these when trees and rocks, any of these things on the field actually go down. And yeah, suddenly discovers that those rocks are no longer intact over there. Likewise, the rocks over here were eaten up. All of a sudden, a giant advantage for the red commander. Look at that, double bot lab in order to outproduce so that we can actually make enough units to put on the field. Isn't that cute? Okay. I'm here for it. Man, these guys play like machines. They're so quick on the keyboard, bouncing around between all the different commands right here. So fast, in fact, that we need 2 laboratories to produce units. I think we finally run out of metal, so eating up one of these laboratories might be the move. While that wind speed is extremely high, though, it doesn't really matter if we're going to waste a little bit of energy building an extra laboratory or 2. You can just go ahead and, yeah, eat it up later, and it's all good. And again, we've got another 850 metal to reclaim right here as well. Suddenly, we've got almost 2,000 metal going back to the red economy, and you can see it's a giant advantage. All of a sudden, the army value here about, oh, actually a 10% advantage for the blue commander? That's surprising. The metal and energy produced, I guess, is really where the advantage is. You can see a 6 or 7% advantage and a 17% advantage. Slowly climbing here for the blue commander, as we do have that metal bar slinging back and forth between these 2 commanders as they reclaim and resurrect and all sorts of good stuff right here. But there's tons and tons of pawns coming out on the field. That army value advantage is slowly disappearing as production skyrockets, and of course as units are traded out right here. We're going to see that number shift a lot. Defense value infinitely in favor of the blue commander. Lovish trying to catch up right here. Manages to shunt the gap of that that infinite gap of defense value. Obviously, these numbers get real finicky around the number 0. Ratios, man. Pretty tough. I don't even know how to do long division anymore. I remember they taught me one time, long time ago. Pawns making their way back home here. Trying to avoid the trees as much as possible. Technically speaking, one of the fun things you can do is dumbfire into the trees, and you'll actually knock them over, and you can deny your enemy a little bit of energy reclaim that way. It's such a minute amount, really, because you can only destroy, like, I don't know, 10 trees or something per blast at an absolute maximum in some of the densest part of this forest. And there's hundreds and hundreds of trees, so it would take a while for you to do it effectively, but it is something you can do, something to be aware of. One of those little, like, weird micro things you can do if you ever needed to. We have a bunch of incisors headed across the field here for autopilot, going to be sending some incisor light tanks as well as I guess a company of grunts moving in here. Little aggression over on this side as well. Pawn will deflect the attack. Nicely done. Saves the constructor from any kind of damage, but it will scare it into building an LLT. All of a sudden, there's a big issue on the field. Loads of incisors now pushing their way forward. LLT here getting some serious value. Yeah, we want that mech, so we want that con, but the LLT is fighting for it. Okay, one more incisor goes down. You know what? That LLT did a great job of defending. Frankly speaking, that LLT probably should have been targeted right there. Instead, these units just pushed right on past. We also have a little force pushing through here, but man, talking about a perfect surround right there. Those tanks got a nearly 100% surround on those pawns, and they did go down extremely quickly here. Okay. Big issue. Yeah, the blue commander. Oh, we've got the the trees on fire. Those will burn away and eventually be unreclaimable. We've got a big issue here for the red commander, who has gone into tons and tons of bot spam and has not gone into vehicles here. Oh, okay. Cheeky strategy. We catch the air transition right here as the incisors and grunts blast through this fortified zone up on the northern side and will make their great escape. Meanwhile, the pawns are looking for opportunities around the map to push in and do some damage. They will eventually take down the LLT over here, but they're going to be stopped, yeah, by a nice defensive ball of incisors. It's going to be pretty tricky to break this. Incisors just trade better across the board against pawns. They're just better in every category. Yeah, Levish is forced to pull the forces back here and enjoy a more defensive posture. We do have Resbots going out to try and resurrect as much of this as possible. Constructors coming back to life as well, which is quite nice. And we have a couple of defensive pawns here to intercept the incisors that are now moving forward. That's the thing, is once you have the critical mass of pawns, they do trade really well against the incisors, but getting to that point is quite difficult, because incisors are really cheap. Yeah, 120 metal per incisor versus 54 metal per pawn. You basically pay, 2 pawns per 1 incisor. And that's about the right ratio of what you want to have, but obviously that doesn't account for the energy or the build power that you need in order to actually build all that sort of stuff. So I think resurrecting a lot of this is a pretty good move too, because those resbots obviously can bring the enemy's units back to life, and especially when you're not producing out of your lab, not nearly as much anyways, because we are going for some good old-fashioned Banshee shenanigans, looking for the Banshee snipe. Apparently going to be the move right here for the red commander as we continue to expand the wind turbine fields and build a little bit more, couple more bot lab units, mostly just to supplement the ones that are lost or turned to debris and can't be resurrected. Meanwhile, Levish's commander moving out there on the field. A little bit dangerous, frankly, because we have so many units already out and available. Both of these guys up to already, let's see, 45 metal per second here for the red commander and 58-ish, well, now up to 60 for the blue commander autopilot. Now we have a little bit of a race. The incisors are moving on in on the southern side. This is going to be a huge push right here for the blue commander. We're looking for nothing short of a base kill at this point. This amount of incisors, we have nearly 3,000 metal worth of incisors moving in right now. And these pawns, they've got a lot of work to do. We're going to use the gunships. Wow, okay. That's a surprising move. I really didn't think we were going to show the gunships at this point. I think they were meant to snipe commanders here. Looks like we built, yeah, almost exactly 12 of these gunships. Technically, the incisors, that is, can fire up at these, meaning that eventually they will go down. But yeah, these gunships are pesky. They're not really the end of the world here, though. Yeah. Kind of. I mean, yeah, I guess they're out-trading the incisors just barely. If the resbots get down here and they can resurrect a lot of these tanks, that'd be quite nice. Big bundle of incisors and pawns over on this side as well, forgotten about. Ooh, not ideal. Yeah. Feels like autopilot is moving around the map just ever so slightly quicker. Has more of a, more presence on the field here. Just using the tanks and their extra armor and their extra speed on the flat terrain to get into places that are super awkward right now for the Red Commander to defend, and then poking from all sorts of angles, whereas we have a little bit of a, well, the Banshees were cheeky right here, but now shut down quite easily, of course, by the fighters that are coming out here for the Blue Commander. We have red fighters streaming out here to try and defend the gunships, and suddenly this match has turned into an air versus air battle of all things. Anti-air is built in the midsection of the map here to try and shoot down the fighters that have come out to defend, but the fighters have already done their job. The Banshees are all shot down. No damage will be dealt. Frankly, I wonder if bypassing the incisors here and just going ahead and going after the mexes, going after maybe a whole bunch of this energy production in base as well. Anything to try and do a little bit more damage than just killing some of those light tanks that, frankly speaking, aren't going to be worth very much as soon as T2 hits the field. Continuing the aggression down here, we also have some medium tanks still available, or, well, now newly available. 3 tanks for now, and more certainly going to come. Resbots here, ugh, super overexposed. Normally I wouldn't be so critical, but in a pro versus pro match, you can't afford the luxury of losing these units like this. That's just not something that you can recover from super easily. Every one of these trades that goes poorly right here for the Red Commander is going to be a huge hit. Meanwhile, a bunch of aggression on the other side as well, and man, incisors are just better in every way, and that's why you pay for them. Looks like just barely these incisors will be cleaned up. We have more and more trees burning down every second right now. But we have the medium tank ball coming out here. So I expected nothing less. The Blue Commander has made that full-blown transition into medium tanks and an air lab. So maybe we'll see some shuriken play as well. The air lab, mostly for the fighters to defend the Banshees, of course. But then, yeah, you can always use that core air lab to build some very, very powerful defensive units. The shuriken, namely, but also fighters, of course, quite good. Anti-air turret has actually been set up. And yeah, those Banshees turn to mist. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the way the Banshees ended up working out this game, and we are still building them, which is surprising to me. Why are we still building these? 6 Banshees underway, or well, already produced, and a 7th underway, or already out now, and we're continuing to climb. I like the idea of the constructors. The constructors are nice because they can zip around and build the mexes pretty nicely. They also, of course, can reclaim these wrecks from areas that would otherwise be very difficult to get to, and very difficult to get, more importantly, constructors to. We have the resbots here to try and, oh, they're actually going to try and resurrect as much of this as possible. About 2,000 metal worth of reclaim in this field, and another 1,000 or so between all the fields over on this right-hand side. Means that the Blue Commander, for now, has control of a decent portion of that metal. As more and more of these resbots get to work and start patching up these incisors, eventually this might be an advantage. But like I said, we already headed towards medium tanks. I mean, Lovish is in a terrible position right now. Suddenly, there's a ton of medium tanks. We can just jump on the Commander. Did we see it? Surely we saw the Commander here. No reaction quite yet from the Blue Commander. Lovish should 100% be moving out of this position. This is such a dangerous spot right here. No unit support. Commander trying to fire off D-guns, but we're sort of throwing the medium tanks away here, trying to, I guess, make sure that these units stay dead. We have the incisors trying their best, and the Banshees likewise, but yeah, frankly, I don't really see much value here. The tanks are just gonna kind of ignore all the damage in the air here. I don't know why they're here in the first place, but they're gonna ignore all this damage from the Banshees, 1 or 2 of them going down. Not enough to make all the difference, I think. The constructors now moving out to try and reclaim, or well, they can't resurrect, but try and reclaim whatever they can. Well, anti-air is available, though, actually, so it will shoot them down. Nicely done. One of them is saved, but the other 2 do fall. And now we're back to that really tricky position where all of a sudden a bunch more medium tanks are rolling towards the base. What do we have to answer this? Looks like the answer will be T2 vehicles. Okay. The Red Commander with nearly 2,000 metal in the bank here. We're a little bit shy of that, but we are headed in that direction. The T2 laboratory will be started up here, and obviously by eating one of these 2 laboratories, we can afford the full transition. The answer is always going to be Jaguar tanks. They're fast, they do a bunch of damage, they can catch up to and then kill these medium tanks before they can hit the base. In most cases, anyways. They're also relatively cheap, making them quite easy to mass produce, and so you can get that snowballing advantage quite easily as well. They really are the perfect choice, and so I'd be surprised if we saw anything else. Technically speaking, yeah, bulls are an option too, but I'm not sure that's what you want to go for. They're so expensive, and we're really going for more build power here. Huh. Seems like a weird time to expend, you know, metal into build power, but I guess that's what we're going to go for. If you're going to go bulls, you really do need that T2 economy, though. Jaguars, I feel like you can pretty much afford on T1 economy, but the bulls, you really do need that T2. 950 metal a piece right there, and don't get me wrong, they're fabulous, but they cost so much money in order to actually make the resbots here trying their best. Yeah, pawns in the action here. I mean, they managed to single out a couple of these tanks and get a decent trade. Okay. All of this is, like, not bad for Levish, but Autopilot looks to be 100% in control of this match right here. We have the Banisher tanks now rolling out of the laboratory. We have more of these T1 constructors coming out, too, which is kind of cool. The scouting planes are also quite nice, and we have fighters queued up as well, just in case. I think those are basically just-in-case fighters, in case some bombers or more gunships or anything like that come up and running. I don't think we plan on actually going into any serious air power ourselves here for the Blue Commander for Autopilot. We're just mass-producing Banishers. No, we're going to switch to Tiger tanks. Okay. Tiger tanks are nice. They're somewhere in between the Lightning tank and the Bull. The Tiger costs 665 metal, and yeah, it performs quite nicely. Has a lot of HP is its main staple, but its damage isn't terrible either. It's basically the same damage as a medium tank, but it fires twice as fast, so you get effectively 2 medium tanks out of it. Quite a bit more health, though, that you do pay quite a premium for. Loads of static defense in the midsection here, making it a little bit awkward because I don't think Autopilot realizes just how flimsy a lot of that is. Those medium tanks could easily run through all of that and have a huge advantage, but easier said than done, and especially when you're in the spectator's booth and you can see everything. These players cannot. They're working with limited vision, and it's worth remembering because sometimes they might not make that decision. That seems obvious to us, but here we go. Medium tanks rolling forward, mostly for vision, actually, than anything else. They're providing vision for those Banishers to fire away. There's not really a reason to take too much damage on these. We are losing some of them to LLTs here. Not the end of the world, of course, but yeah, they're effectively scouts for the Banishers to, to fire away. Hits the tree before it can actually hit the LLT right there. Unfortunate for the Blue Commander. Obviously not, again, game-ending, but one of those weird things that you don't think about all too often, but it can be a pain. Now, the Bull here is doing a great job of cleaning up a bunch of these mexes over on this side. Single-handedly cleaning out a bunch of these exploiters because it just has the HP to do so. One of those nice things about the Bull, it's kind of the one unit, it's the one-stop shop. It does everything. The jack of all trades, has a bunch of AoE, has a bunch of HP, does a bunch of damage. It kind of can do everything, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of people love about it. Here we go. Killing the exploiters. Hopefully we kill those constructors too. It'd be wonderful if we did. There we go. AoE will eventually blast them to pieces. In fact, blast them to smoldering debris. And now the Bull will turn its nasty head towards the final exploiter over here. At least it should. There's another another little spot set up over here. I love the use of the exploiters, though. They've definitely provided for them, or paid for themselves here at 240 metal apiece. It means you have to basically get 5 times as long, or as much time spent, yeah, mining from them, as opposed to a normal metal extractor only costing about 50. 50 plus the energy cost. Okay, I was a little hesitant about the Bulls, but they seem to have been the right decision. We also have T2 Constructor going around and building those T2 mexes right now. Of course, same thing for the Blue Commander. We are stepping up properly into that T2 game. Now, oddly enough, we didn't start with these ones back here, and I like the inclusion of those air cons. The Red Commander going for the air constructors here to assist the T2 con, just to give it a little bit more build power, speed things up ever so slightly. These don't have a ton, but they have enough to make a difference. That's the kind of advantage that can turn into a infinitely scaling one pretty quickly. Ooh, nasty bit of friendly fire there on the back of that Tiger's head. Certainly a moment where the Tiger has to say, hey, watch it. Check your fire. We've slowed down quite a lot and headed into this T2 mid to late game. For a 1v1, this is actually relatively late for pro-level players. We rarely get this far into T2. At this point, we are even thinking about T3 as these T2 mexes come up and online. They are definitely going to be enough to start going for T3. We have 10 metal per second per metal extractor. You need about, I want to say about 80 metal per second to start T3 production. You can get away with it at 60, but yeah, you can basically shut down your entire economy and start producing T3 units at 60 metal per second. But really around 90 is where you can kind of consistently keep the production high. Banshees here, I mean, still finding value, surprisingly. Banishers, technically able to hit air. Although, I guess widely considered a waste. More bulls rolling across the map. They're a funky looking unit with that sort of shallow head and rotary cannon, and then of course the multi-treads here. They've got wheels and treads on both legs, making them a weird kind of tank truck thing. They're very, very strange. But you'll notice that they're actually very similar to Jaguars in that respect. Jaguars also have a similar chassis. I guess it kind of makes sense. That's just Armada's preferred method of momentum. Locomotion. Man, those Banishers are nice. Super, super nice for shutting down those bulls. 3 or 4 shots right there from those Banishers, and that bull got shut off permanently. Sent on a vacation up to the old robot farm in the sky. Not that it couldn't be resurrected, but it would definitely be expensive to do so. We have some construction turrets actually set up over here. Looks like we transported in a T2 Con and we'll have moved it away. Yeah, to go upgrade some more mexes. Not bad. I like the idea of building that AGO. It's far enough away from the base that it doesn't really matter if you just throw that thing together and leave it be. Normally, if you have an in-base AGO, I would definitely recommend the Prude. It's a solid piece of Armada technology. Keeps your base safe, keeps your life intact. Funky air battle right here over this hillside. Everybody firing up, down, over, left, and to the right as they try and... Whoa, what was that? Oh, AGO goes up in smoke. Yikes. Yeah, air battle in the favor here of the blue commander. Manages to walk away with more fighters than the red. We have a little bit of anti-air. Hopefully we're not parking permanently underneath that. Yeah, losing fighters to ground-based anti-air in the middle of the map would not be ideal. Bulls, they're trying, but we just have so many of these medium tanks, and the Banishers for supplemental damage is huge. There's really not a lot we can do here. We being lovish right now. The other geothermal being captured as well. T2 metal extractors still being built. And right now the economies are looking pretty nice, although the blue economy, quite a bit better than the red. At this point, T2 mexes have been set up basically everywhere. Yeah, every metal extractor has been converted to T2 except for this one, it seems. The red commander is still yet to upgrade these T2 mexes over on the northern side here right now. We do have the AGO, which is quite nice. Likewise, we had that AGO over here, but it has gone pop. And so it does mean, at the very least for now, the energy advantage is in favor of the red commander. We're actually going for an anti-nuke at this point. Autopilot apparently afraid of a nuclear shenanigan, as we do, of course, have that possibility now that we're well into T2 and the economies are scaling upwards. Very, very easy for nuclear missiles to go completely haywire on the enemy base, start causing a whole lot of problems. I know we had a transport at one point. I'd love to see it picking up these build turrets and just kind of depositing them near the metal extractors. It's the kind of thing that I would normally not really expect out of a lower level player, but out of the pros, maximizing the value from that build power would be tremendous. An excellent snipe over here as the T2 constructor does fall. Very important for denying a bunch of the expansion over here. We're going to have to send an entire other constructor or some resbots at the very least. Ooh, a bunch of consoles get blown away though. Yikes. Bulls are going on a tear, but frankly, after killing that constructor, that's probably all the damage that they're going to get. The blue army is looking magnificent right here though. Yeah, tanks are rolling up. We have the grunts pushing forward here. After a stellar defense, the grunts are no longer going to be super valuable. Jaguars, they had their moment right there where they might have been able to sneak attack, but a little bit of a surprise, but the advantage, the position is long gone. And yeah, most of the forest has been destroyed. We have the grunts sneaking up this hillside as well. No defense is set up over here, so it will be the demise of at least one of the red AGOs. Grunts will be sacrificed here. A valiant sacrifice in the name of bringing down this Armada AGO. Boom goes the geothermal. Looks like some of those Tiger tanks still moving forward to kill the constructor is very annoying as well. Little field of landmines has been set up. Okay. These are medium mines. For when you're not sure what kind of mine you think you should like. You just go with medium mines, yeah. Not bad. Huge explosive area here. Those mines force the retreat. They might be the difference right now between the red commander being wiped off the face as these units were looking to push forward. They kind of got scared backwards. And they'll actually be blown into full retreat. Yeah, not bad. Continued aggression on the southern side, though. The army value over double for the blue commander over the red. Goes to show what that magic metal advantage has really been paying for here, as the blue commander grabbed all those T2 mexes so much quicker and now has so much more money to put on the field. Red commander just can't keep up. Lovish is struggling here. E-converters are quite nice. Obviously, Armada commander is very, very fond of those E-converters. They can make big economies off those. However, there's just not enough scaling quite yet in this game. We have a couple of cloaked fusion reactors going to be set up over on this side. I don't hate it. It is a little bit suspect that we would build all this build power in the middle of nowhere for effectively no reason. But obviously, we know the truth. We know the hidden meaning behind these construction towers in the middle of the forest. It'll, of course, be for cloaked nuclear fusion centers. You pay a premium of about 600 metal in order to cloak it. For that cost, you do also get the benefit of, you get a little bit extra energy. You get 50 extra energy, which is not ideal, not tremendous, but it's something. Build power here actually just going to be used to kill these grunts, funny enough. Can we get the last one? Can we kill the last one? He's busy microing over here. Starlight is out, and it's going to be great for blasting away at a bunch of these tanks as well. Really love having the Starlight here as a defensive tool. We did kill that grunt, by the way. Using the Starlight defensively, supported by a bunch of other units, or even better yet, supported by static defenses, it makes a lot of sense because, of course, those Starlights have tons and tons of range and a huge burst of damage. They effectively are a mobile static defense, and it's kind of in much the same way that it would be very nice to move your pulsars forward. That is effectively what the Starlight is all about. Slow and steady, gradual movements here. Not what the blue commander is worried about on the southern side. Lovish forced into a situation where it could come down to throwing out some D-guns here. The bulls are fighting for it. The tigers want the win. They don't know about the commander hidden on this southern side right here, but Lovish might be forced to reveal himself. Yep, there we go. They touch the commander and discover it on that southern side. There's nothing really to assist this commander. There's no more tanks available. They're being sectioned off right now, but the blue tank's moving north. Oh, did he see? Oh, he didn't see the commander. Oh, no. I don't think autopilot noticed that the commander was there on the southern side. Okay, well, that changes things. Still a nice hit right here from the Tigers, and the blue commander has huge control over the map. At this point, these metal extractors on the southern side are up and running. We have a single hero tick trying its very best. We have, one or maybe about a 0.5% per shot right here from this tick. Pretty funny. The bull here helping out quite a lot, of course, with the flanking damage, going to do a bunch of damage. Now skirmishing against, again, those banishers and tigers. Very, very annoying to deal with. T2 constructors in trouble. There's quite a lot of them. And they will all die. Okay. Good targeting there from the bulls. Managed to take down all the constructors, meaning that the T2 mexes won't be rebuilt at least anytime soon here. More of those T2 mexes falling. Push on this northern side here. Starlight's overrun by the grunts. Beamer turrets have been set up here to liquefy any of these grunts that come up the hillside. Oh man, I love beamer turrets. They are very, very nice. Yeah. Watching them obliterate the T1 units is just so satisfying. Air Force is now well within production. We actually have full-blown T2 fighters flying overhead right now. Spam labs have been set up as well. We have the blue commander spamming out a whole bunch of grunts, and we even have dragons coming up. Wow. We are well into the proper T3 late game here as the dragons are coming up. Dragons effectively a T3 unit at 5,100 metal per flying fortress with 2 commander pilot thingies on the front of that dragon. I believe one is for aiming the flamethrower alone, and then the other one handles all of the lasers and the flying. I'm pretty sure that's how it works because the flamethrowers require a... they basically require their own dedicated operator because they have to manage all the, the outgoing fuel and the, balancing it. All the different stuff is very complicated. It requires a specialized agent. Maybe it's the same agent as a fiend. Yeah, maybe it's just a fiend clone. Never thought about that. AGO well protected over here. Really, the advantage that the red commander has had this entire game has been the harassment, or the geothermals have stayed up and running. Still, though, so much more metal has just been dumped into the eco for the blue commander, and we have all these wind turbines up and running and about to complete an APHIS, and boom, just like that, an extra 3,000 metal gives a distinct advantage of 46%. At this point, the blue commander has got to be, autopilot that is, has got to be thinking about ways to close this match out. Yeah, dragons are spotted just now. This is the very moment here where the red commander has to make some very important decisions. We have the flak cannons coming out, the flak trucks rather, moving to try and intercept these dragons as they head towards the AGO. Apparently that is the premium target. No, actually not the AGO. We might be bypassing the AGO in favor of all these cloaked fusion reactors, which is quite nice. Chainsaws are out. They're actually very good dragon defense because they do a decent amount of damage and a really big burst. There we go. Yep, dragons are firing away here. Do the dragons know about these cloak fusions is the question. I don't think they do. Oh, they can detect it? Oh, no way. Wow, apparently you have to get, you don't have to get very close to those cloak fusion reactors to detect them. Flak trucks as well as the dragon. The dragon doing a great job of whittling this down, about 1% per shot. A little more than that, I think, technically. You know what? Not really as much damage. If these were regular fusion reactors, I guarantee they'd be dead. But the dragon's actually shunned away right here, and the cloaked fusion reactors will stay up and standing. A huge point on the board in favor of the cloaked fusion reactors, which I did not expect to have such a tremendous effect. Lightning tanks are the name of the game. We have neglected the Jaguar this entire match right here, and this is the perfect time to have about a dozen of them to protect you from all of this T1 spam. Now we're going to lose all the Starlights to the measly Grunt. This is an awkward battle right here. We've got so many Grunts out from the Blue Commander. The Starlights kill about as many of them as they ever would standing up when they die. Their explosion is quite brutal, but still, there are more to replace them. Grunts are dirt cheap. They're basically paper clips welded together with laser guns. What a waste of an army. These Starlights were meant to close the game out. Instead, they ended up being the throw. There's a console at least trying to reclaim some of this, which is nice. I suppose it's a silver lining on the back of a horrible loss. But Jaguars, the lightning tanks, to save the day right here. The enemy is going for spam. Get spammy as well. Send out your own spam in order to counter it. Ticks here doing a lovely job of absorbing a bunch of those Banisher missiles, by the way. Will was pointing out that those have been quite effective. The dragon that did escape is trying to look for an opportunity, trying to figure out how to be valuable. I wouldn't mind seeing it go back and get repaired. At this point, we're on triple APHIS production, though. Where is our T3 laboratory? For whatever reason, Autopilot neglecting the T3 lab, and I'm pretty certain that whichever commander goes into T3 first is going to have the edge needed in order to break into this game, or break out of this game, I should say. Looks like, wow. A significant investment in static defenses on this northern side. We've got 5 of these Scorpion turrets, as well as a bulwark now being set up, some anti-air set up as well, and a giant battle going on down south. Anti-air is available, though, so it's worth remembering that those are going to eventually kill that dragon. That is a huge investment. You don't get any reclaim from it. There's no way of resurrecting it. I wouldn't even mind seeing the Resbots being used to repair that thing. Not a bad idea. Anything to get that dragon back up and running and back in the fight is going to be very valuable. We're now just on consoles. Do we even have a T1 lab? We do have a T1 lab. I'm surprised we haven't gone for more Lazarus here to resurrect or reclaim things. Yeah, the amount of Resbots here. Despite so many of them going down, Resbots only have to reclaim for a couple seconds in order to get their value back, costing only 130 metal apiece and reclaiming about 50 metal per second. Pretty much 3 seconds of reclaim will pay for a Resbot. There we go. This Lazarus has been paid for. Despite it dying, it's already been paid for. Banisher is definitely one of the biggest threats right here for these Resbots. Not sure about that one. That one might have been just barely unpaid for. Oh, GG is called. Wow. An anticlimactic end to this fight right here, but maybe a solid GG, an economic victory if ever there was one. The Blue Commander Autopilot manages to win the game right here by just going ahead and outproducing the enemy. GG is called, and Autopilot takes the win. Wow, what an anticlimax. I would have loved to see these two armies clash, but I think Lovish knew that this match was well over, and these graphs sort of tell the story. Yeah, you can see that exponential growth, and there was no way to take advantage of any opportunities to bring that back down, to curb that scaling. And eventually it does mean that Autopilot will take the victory in this game. Thanks a ton for watching, and if you did enjoy, of course, feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And feel free, of course, to, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, go check out the replays from the 50K event. That was a lot of fun, and they're all over on the main official Beyond Our Reason channel, so go give those a look as well. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond Our Reason. Peace out, everybody.